Hello everyone and welcome to Study IQ English. I am Joycey Joy. In this video, we will be discussing about merchandise exports from India scheme. So this is also called the MEIS scheme and it's in the news very recently for many reasons and for multiple times, especially after the release of the Union Budget 2022-23, the government has expanded the scheme to many other sectors. So it's a very important concept as well as it's a very important current affair as well. Let's get started. First, getting started with the features of the MEIS scheme. Merchandise exports from India scheme. The plan provides incentives as an obligation credit script to the exporter to make up for his misfortune on installment of obligations. So basically, it is a incentive given to the exporters, that is manufacturing exporters. Incentive to manufacturing exporters. To decide the amount of impetus, the countries have been isolated into three gatherings. We'll see which are these three gatherings. Gathering A has India's customary objectives, for example, the European Union nations and the USA. Now, Gathering B covers entirety of India's significant fair objections universally. Gathering B has the most elevated quantum of motivation. Gathering C, SAARC, Australia, New Zealand, some European Union and African nations. So the entire scheme is divided into three gatherings. Now, the important features of the scheme, coming to the features, this scheme has been substantially expanded to cover many sectors, especially in the recent few years. So, expansion of new sectors, new items, etc. has been a significant change to this. 2,901 extra items falling under various item classes have been added. Numerous things of customary medicines like ashwagandha spices, its concentrates, spices, concentrates of various other things, certain marine items, ocean feed things, onion dried, prepared grain items, worth added or value added things of plastic, farm articles, bags. These are all examples of newly added items in the list of MEIS. Modern items under various classification like designing merchandise, textures, pieces of clothing, synthetic compounds, pottery, glass items, calfskin merchandise, papers, periodicals, silk things, made-ups, fleece items, tubes, pipes. These are all again other things that has been added. The names are not important, but what you have to remember is that what are the things that has been added to the list or what more items are added to the list of the scheme. Now, what are the benefits of MEIS? So, what are the benefits or advantages of the scheme? How does it help the country? Under the FTP 2015-20, MEIS expect to boost fares of products fabricated in India or created in India. That means it gives a competitive advantage to the goods manufactured in India. It provides a competitive advantage because this is a kind of incentive to the producers or the manufacturers. As they get more incentives, their competitiveness in the export increases. The impetus are for merchandise broadly sent out from India, enterprises creating or assembling such products with the end goal of making Indian fares serious. That is, to create demand for Indian commodities in the global market. The motivating forces under the plans are determined as a rate, which is 2%, 3% or 5% of the acknowledged free on-board esteem sent out in free unfamiliar trade or FOB estimation of fares according to transportation bills in free unfamiliar trade. That is the incentives. The incentives are on different rates. The percentage can be different for different commodities. That is, the percentage of incentives can be different. The free unfamiliar trade will incorporate an unfamiliar trade acquired through worldwide MasterCards and different instruments permitted by the Reserve Bank of India. Now the impact of MEIS. First one is that it tends to advance the fare of informed product fabricated or created in India. It is significant fair advancement plan of Government of India actualized by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And these are accessible at the site of Directorate General of Foreign Trade. The MEIS scheme, the Merchandise Exports from India scheme, it is a consequence of significant union and rearrangement. Coming to the union and the rearrangement, prior there were 5 unique plans for compensating stock fares with various types of obligation scripts with shifting conditions connected to their utilization. Presently, every one of these plans have been converged into a solitary plan, which means that it is a codification of, or it has subsumed the earlier existing plans or policies. The first point is that there is a significant union. Union here means that there is a convergence of many plans existed earlier. So, when there are lot number of plans or when there are a lot number of policies in place, it is very difficult to implement it, find the beneficiaries and take the advantage. So now this is actually a convergence, or it is actually a coming together of all these plans. So here a codification has taken place. By codification we mean that earlier there were many plans, now they are all brought together under one solitary plan. That is the MEIS plan. So all these plans are converged into one single plan, which creates ease of implementation. Next is the motivating forces. The prices under the MEIS, they are payable at 2%, 3% or 5%. We have already seen that. That is, there are different rates or different percentages, different rates. The script can be moved or utilized for installment of various obligations, charges including the traditions, extract, obligation, administrative charge, etc. Now we need to understand what is the concept of script here. Here the concept of script means that the government incentivizes the producers, the manufacturers or the exporters, all these the same category of people or the entities. So the government motivates or incentivizes them through scripts, that is credit scripts. So to understand this, we need to understand the basic of the scheme. MEIS scheme is an incentivizing scheme for the exporters or the manufacturers to promote the exports. Now, how do the government incentivize them? By providing them credit scripts. What are credit scripts? Credit scripts are associated with the quantum of export or the number or the quantity of exports that take place from one manufacturer or from one exporter. So, this credit scripts come in the form of incentives or scripts that can be used by the exporter or the manufacturing unit or the manufacturer at various points. And these are the various points. It can be used for meeting the obligations or charges including the traditions, extract obligation, administrative charges, etc. So this is how the credit scripts can be useful for them. The scripts and the sources of info imported under the scripts are completely adaptable. Lot of adaptability is given to the exporters. Prior plans had numerous conditions appended with the scripts about their use. Now, this is how it is different from that of the earlier incentives. We have seen that before the introduction of MEIS scheme, there were many other schemes in place to promote the exports. Now, what was the difference? Earlier, even though the government provided this credit scripts, there were conditions associated with it, which means that the scripts could be used only for certain purposes. Certain conditions needed to be met. But now under the MEIS scheme, it's more flexible for the manufacturers or the producers that they can use these credit scripts apart from meeting the conditions, or it's more flexible, it can be used on a wide variety of items. Next is the third feature is regarding the allocation and product coverage. This scheme MEIS, it was presented in the Parliament on 1st of April 2015. And during that time, it covered 4,914 duty lines. Now, according to the latest budget, the assessed allotment is rupees 21,000 crore. So, from 2015 to 2022, over a period of 7 years, the allocation to the scheme has increased. Now, what does it mean by saying that the allocation has increased? Which means that the product coverage has increased, which means more number of products are now covered under the MEIS scheme. So, more number of merchandise or products are covered under the scheme. Next is, duty credit scripts are openly adaptable and usable for the installment of custom obligation, extract obligation and administration charge. This is regarding the flexibility of usage of this credit scripts. They are completely adaptable now. That is, they can be used for installment of custom obligation. That is to meet the customs duties, extract obligation or even for administrative charges. So, this credit scripts can be used by the entities, by the exporters to meet any of these charges, which means they are highly flexible. They can be used for different purposes. Now, let's come to a question, some previous year questions asked regarding the MEIS scheme. Name the two plans presented under the new foreign trade policy. So, here 4 options are given. You have to identify 2 plans which are presented under the new foreign trade policy. Merchandise export from India scheme and service export from India scheme. Service export from India scheme and service import from India scheme. Service import from India scheme and merchandise export from India scheme. Merchandise import from India scheme and service export from India scheme. The options are very complicated. So, this is a homework for you. You have to find out which are the 2 plans under the new foreign trade policy. Next question. Consider the accompanying proclamations about the foreign trade policy 2015-20 uncovered on 1st of April 2015. This arrangement centers around boosting Sends Out and Make occupations while supporting the center's Make in India and Digital India programs. The new arrangement is to make engineering for Indian economy so it can pick up worldwide seriousness and advance the broadening of Indian fare. The strategy is to move towards paperless working in 24/7 conditions. The strategy comes when sending out development contracted 15% contraction of development by 15% in February 2014-15, announcing a negative development for the third back-to-back a month. These are the options given. So, you have to find out the accompanying proclamations about the foreign trade policy. First question was regarding the components of foreign trade policy. Now, it is regarding accompanying proclamations or the announcements with relation to the foreign trade policy. So, you have to find out the answer again. Options are given. 1 and 2 is right. 2 and 3 are right. 1, 2, 4 are right. All of the above is right. You have to work on it and you have to find the answers for it. So, these are the questions related to MEIS scheme. I hope this was a useful one for you. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best.